Today we'll be looking at snakes ending in the second weekend in September, anywhere from the 13th on a Friday all the way up through Sunday the 15th. But before we get into it, I wanted to thank everyone that jumped into the live stream. I got a lot of positive feedback from that. I don't know if we'll do it every single week, but we are definitely going to work to do more live streams along those lines, and maybe in other ways too. So again, thank you. But let's get right into this video here. Starting off with this Pastel Het Lavender Het Pied female. You've got till, I think, 12:30. It's pretty cheap right now. This is for someone who wants to work the dreamsicle and get started pretty much right off the bat and doesn't want to sink a whole lot of money into it. This is a good way to do it because the dreamsicles have come down in price, and having the hets and the female is the way to do it in my opinion. And people, I often say people get this mixed up. They say, no, this is a female game, you should spend all your money on females, and to an extent they are correct. You should have the most females, but I argue that you should sink most of your money into a really big powerhouse male, because he's going to breed 2, 3, or 4 of your females. So wouldn't you want that powerhouse with a bunch of genes going to things? So get yourself a dreamsicle at this point, because they've come down in price, with some other genes in there like blackhead, and you could start working that project with the actual dreamsicle with that. They're really cool. So for a beginning breeder, this is a really good option because it's, again, I believe this is a proven breeder. If it's not, it's right up to size. So if this interests you, you might want to get to work because it's ending in like 30 minutes from this video coming out. Another one, but without the lavender, would be a just standard piebald. Also from Royal Ambassadors, if you want to, again, kind of get into this a little bit faster. This one is not quite up to size, but it is very, very close. And it will, again, probably end in a very favorable price from a really good breeder here that is definitely trustable and knows their stuff. I would entice people who are trying to learn and want to get a few clutches under their belt before maybe they sink some investment level money into this. You know, they make sure that they can get some clutches out of here first. You know, this is a good way to start because you're still making cool stuff. You're still making pieds and dreamsicles with those too, and still learning at the same time. A great way to do it in my opinion. Next up would be this Cinnamon Mahogany clown. This one does have a reserve, but it is a female again, and I love the way Cinnamon Mahogany look together. This is an adult. It's basically breeding size. It's not going to change really any, and it still looks pretty darn good for all that, and they look stunning as babies, honestly. I love what Cinnamon and Mahogany do in clown. Working together, it creates a much more dark animal. This could go well with quite a few different things. A lot of different directions here. You could stay with kind of the darker route here. I'll pack a lot of in there, but I would actually recommend putting some contrast into that. Now, I do love the darker morphs, but it loses itself if you lose all of it. You need to have some contrast. I like contrast. That's what I like. I just like it to favor the dark. And without light and dark together, you don't get contrast. That's part of it, you know, other than just color and whatnot. So maybe get something that's a little different, like some lace or whatnot to put into there to kind of just add some oomph. It wouldn't necessarily brighten it up, but it could keep it clean and keep that contrast level very high. It would create an animal here, as you can see, as the adult. It has begun to fade. It still looks good, but it would keep those baby colors quite a bit better. Another proven breeder here. We're starting off kind of that way as a theme, just kind of just for the people who want to get in there. This would be another one where you could combine, maybe if you got those piebalds, and you could just create the Lavender Albinos right off the bat here. Kind of work that project, work some pies, work some Lavender Albinos, combine the two of them obviously into the dreamsicle. And this one is a proven breeder. It says low reserve, but he wasn't kidding because it already beat it. So that, you like to see that, and that's kind of cool. This one again will be ending very shortly after the video comes out. Just another great way to just create cool snakes without breaking the bank and get some experience under your belt as you're learning. These do sell. They sell all the time. I sell albinos and stuff like this. Visually striking animals sell like crazy as pets and as people who maybe just want to kind of start and see, you know, what happens. You know, they buy it and they want something that could set them up for the future, but if they just want a pet and they just decide not to, you know, that's the case. So a good way to get started and start putting some experience under your belt. All right, moving into some hatchlings finally here would be this Cinnamon Clown 66% het puzzle, and that's where I'm interested in. Cinnamon is very, very cool. I have a cinnamon puzzle female. If there wasn't some issues sometimes with the super cinnamons, this would be very tempting. And what I mean by that is sometimes the super cinnamons, like super black pastel, can be prone to a little bit more kinking. It's not an overwhelming amount, but it is more than your normal. amount. So it is something that you have to come to terms with if you're going to do super cinnamons, if you're going to do super black pastels. But regardless, the snake, even if you don't go that route, is very cool because of that 66% het puzzle. You're going to want to send in a shed test before you go and get some females, obviously, to make sure that that is the case. The puzzle project is, in my opinion, is become an affordable thing to get into while still being very, very cool with a lot to do with it. Now, there is a lot to be said with the clown puzzles. I've heard that sometimes they wash each other out, but if you're interested in learning more about that project, RGI actually did a video with Justin of Canova that kind of just delves more into the clown puzzle project, which you can check out here as well. But I think it's a really cool project regardless of the direction you go. Again, you always like to have the visuals in there, but it would probably be a much more expensive snake if that was the case, right? Like it says here, test and prove out het puzzle. That would be pretty crazy. Even if you didn't care for the project, it would definitely add some options for a male to breed into clowns and puzzles right off the bat. So some versatility there at a very good price, quite frankly, and from a very good breeder. So something to think about. Here is a really good female here, a black pastel Yellowbelly red gene het clown. The red gene is where it's at. The black pastel and Yellowbelly are high quality genes to come along for the ride, and obviously being your female het clown. This also from Brock Wagner has my attention, quite frankly. Red Gene is, again, one of those ones we've talked about that is subtle, but when in combos, especially with clown, just kills it. We saw a bunch at the NARBC show in Schaumburg that were unbelievable, but this is incredible. There's a lot of different avenues you could go. For one, you're a het clown. If it was a visual clown and you had two more genes, you'd have a Pompeii. Those genes being Spotnose and Redstripe, but you have red genes, so wouldn't that be interesting to see what else you could kind of create along those lines? Maybe swap out the Redstripe or the red gene, see what happens, see how different it is, see if it is different. Very, very cool opportunity here. Free shipping? Well, heck yeah, that's cool. I didn't even see that. But we're gonna put a placeholder on here. I call it a placeholder. I talk about this in a lot of videos. I probably sound like a broken record, but I never know who's new watching. Basically, I'm putting a bid on there, and I'm very comfortable paying this price. But I know it's gonna get outbid. I expect to get outbid, but it now will tell me when I get outbid, and it'll tell me an hour before the auction ends. So it gives me an opportunity to jump back in here tomorrow at this point and determine if the price that it's currently at is something I want to get into. So very, very cool. I love this. I don't expect this price to stay here. I totally expect to be outbid. This is really good. And the free shipping just is a cherry on top. Moving right along to this Desert Ghost Het clown. Very cool opportunity here to create DG clowns. Being in the female, very low prices right now this week, I think. I don't know, maybe everybody spent their money on the stuff I live streamed. I don't know. This is a cool opportunity though, because you can get yourself a male, and if you want to keep it cheap, get yourself a clown het DG. That way, everything that you breed will be at minimum double het, and you don't have to worry about guessing or sending in tests for that, because you know, because the Desert Ghost is always going to pass on one copy of the gene, and the other copy, if you got the clown het DG, would always pass one copy of clown on. And then of course you'd hit clowns het DG, you'd hit DG het clown, and you have a very good chance of hitting the clown Desert Ghost, 1 in 4 in fact. This would be very cool, and it wouldn't cost you a whole bunch, honestly. A female at that right now, like I said, the price is very favorable. If you want to work the Desert Ghost Clown project, this would be a great female to pick up on the cheaper side. Had to show this one off. It is one color, but the opportunity here is more what I'm thinking underneath the surface. A female here from Designer Ball Pythons. We actually have a Redstripe clown from them, but this one I'm thinking more or less just the confusion. That's why I'm getting this. And I do love Pinstripe, by the way. The Super Pastel will always pass on, so you're always getting pastel babies. Whether you like that or not, that's up to you, I suppose, but the confusion is where it's at for me. Being in a female, being a visual clown, that's already great. There's a reserve price on this, and I'll show you why, because you might look at that and, you know, think, well, it's just one color, even though that is cool, right? It's like a big peach color, almost like an all-white snake, but an all, like, yellowish. All right, but this is what I'm thinking. I am looking at the Confusion Clown in a completely different way than maybe that picture shows, because this is what I want. Those belly patterns that Confusion Clowns bring in are nuts. Now, I don't know if this one has one because it's, well, not showing it, and 2, because it's all colored up, but you know, obviously not every single thing. The Pinstripe is really what's blowing this color in, along with the Super Pastel. Everything here just kind of creates this snake, but it's powerful. Let that be known. This is a powerful animal, and if you want to start making animals like this is a good way to do it, because people often buy the look. This is an incredible opportunity right here. And to show off a clown pied that right now has a good amount of interest, but is still very cheap, and it's going to end today. The day this video comes out, again from Brock Wagner, with his free shipping, which is so cool. There's not much to say here. Clown pieds are cool. They're always going to remain cool, but the price has come down. But quite frankly, what it's at right now is even more crazy. I think it will go up, but I'm not sure if it'll go up too much more. So it is a male. As far as a breeding project goes, I would rather this be in my female at this point, with the prices where they're at. Maybe you're watching this video as a pet buyer, so I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on it. This still makes great stuff, and clown pieds still sell for a good amount. If you're just thinking about it monetarily, you can still create great things for a cheap price. Moving right along to this lesser blackhead red gene clown. Ringer, by the way. I'm not sure of that being a gene. That's more or less just it having the rings around it. But I'm not really seeing anything here. So I mean, there's little specks up here. So I'm not sure. Maybe I could be wrong. As you can see here, it shows it not the same because it's kind of a ringer. The whole reason I put this in there is the red gene. And it's a clown. That is why that's in there. It's a male. He can pass that red gene on to a lot of things. I also put it in there because of that blackhead. And I do love me some lesser clowns. They are cool. I will always love lesser clowns. But the blackhead and the red gene, that is powerful right there. So if you can pass those on to a lot of different animals to get into some crazier combos, that would be very cool. And he's a proven breeder, and he's a big boy too. Definitely something to think about here if you wanted to get a male that can start putting some work in there with some unique genes for you. Some stuff that is a little more subtle in the red gene, but becomes very apparent in the combos. And blackhead, which is, I mean, look at some combos with blackhead. I preach blackhead every single week. It is an incredible gene, especially if you want to work with some of the contrast, bringing in darks. They are great. Got a group here. This is 4 females. So if you want to work the Ultramel Clown project, this could be a great way to do that. From Bull Pythons 101, we are looking at a female. They're all females, but the Spotnose, Orange Dream, Enchi, and then it is 66% Het Clown and Ultramel. You're looking at a Spotnose Enchi Phantom, which is a different kind of gene. Phantom, Orange Dream, 66% double het clown Ultramel. An Orange Dream Enchi, 66% het double het. I said het, double het, whatever. A double het clown Ultramel. And then a Spotnose Orange Dream, 66% double het Orange Dream. I've said that too much, now I'm getting confused. Spotnose Orange Dream, 66% double het clown Ultramel. There we go. If you're doing this, I recommend getting a good male to put this to, but because you're already getting some quality stuff from Ball Pythons 101. But a lot of potential here. If you get yourself a good male, you send these tests in, prove it out, and you know, like I said, you got good odds. That is for sure, especially on 4 times at it, to just be able to get into this really cool project. Moving right along to this 50% triple het Monsoon Desert Ghost Pied. You definitely have the potential for a lot of power here, and Monsoon is thought by many people to have markers, and those markers, well, are showing themselves quite apparently right here. Because as a triple het, this should look like a normal. This does not look anything like a normal. Now there is variation in normals. I see it all the time where someone brings me a normal and says, look at this, it's gotta be something crazy new. I mean, it could be. I mean, but not everything is crazy new. You know, I mean, but the point of the matter is Monsoons are thought to have a lot of pattern stretching over the top, and you are certainly seeing that on display here. It is not a for sure thing. While I have heard we are getting closer to a test for Monsoon, the Desert Ghost and Pied do have tests. So in the meantime, send those in so you know what to get and go for it. The Monsoon Pied, I believe, has been created, but I do not think that the Desert Ghost and all that, and I think just a Desert Ghost Monsoon would be absolutely out of this world. And this is a female too, so the hets being in there is very ideal so that you can breed a male to it with a lot more stuff at play. This is a really good one to possibly take a chance on. The price is pretty low right now too. But if you wanted to also check on another one, here's a Leopard Possible Het Monsoon. Another one where, you know, obviously the leopard's at play, so it does kind of create a bit of the pattern wonkiness so that it's not as reliable, but I mean the pattern there does stretch over the top. I do indicate that. So looks like her next shed will be saved and tested for Candy and Monsoon. I didn't even see that it was 50% hit Candy, so that'd be a really good one to hit, because I think that color with Monsoon is the way to go. You can change the color of a Monsoon far more easily than you can change the pattern of a Monsoon. I don't even know why you'd want to change the pattern of a Monsoon. It's already perfection for what it does. So the color is where it's at, and Candy will do that with his lavenders. It'd be phenomenal. A Leopard would be one that could make it a little more wonky, obviously, so it certainly couldn't hurt it. Just two of them that are really well priced right now. If you want to get into that Monsoon project, which I didn't leave you hanging this time, that's what a Monsoon looks like, by the way. You can see right here how absolutely bonkers this does. I believe it was named Monsoon for the rain-like look to it. Looks like little raindrops. I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying it's probably a very good guess. Next up would be this Redhead Leopard 100% clown. Another one that's in the female, and we've talked about Redhead already, what it can do. This one from Ball Python Shed, also a very good breeder. I really like this, and the Leopard shows itself off quite good. Another one that if you want to work it into a Redhead clown project, one that you could potentially pick up and just make some really awesome things. They are nuts and very, very cool, so do not look at this and go, it just looks like a leopard to me, because I can guarantee you that in the right combos that it is nuts. And you can definitely see what it does for it here too, bringing in some of these more orangey looking colors to it, especially on this picture. I feel it kind of shows itself off a little bit more, but subtly, no doubt there. The Leopard definitely presents itself as a bigger picture of the snake that you're seeing currently, but I'm seeing beyond this snake, and I'm seeing into the Redhead clown combos that you can create, like this insanely awesome animal right here. Before we keep going with the bull pythons, just wanted to show off what is available for Hognoses this week. It has slowed down this week, it seems. I can't even scroll. So let's go ahead and jump right into the few that I am going to call out, starting with this Axanthic Anaconda Het Snow. It is also a purple line. This one here is from JMG, which is probably the absolute leader, at least in the US, for Hognoses. I'm not sure if they're ever overseas, quite frankly, but they are really cool. I don't think I've seen one quite so silver with the Axanthic, and I believe that's because it's combining with that purple line to make it that way. That's so cool, so sharp. The Conda changes the pattern to more look like an anaconda, but down here it just kind of creates a line down the back. Being Het Albino means that is why it's called Het Snow, because you hit the albino and the Axanthic and you create a snow, which is a little bit more lighter of an animal with these bright red eyes. So very cool. A lot of power in this girl right here, and a lot of different avenues you could take when you breed her. Speaking of albino, here is our first albino. I love albino, and this is a Albinoconda Het Axanthic. A really nice contrast here. And the Conda, now you can see what it does with one copy of it. It just kind of creates these little spots along it rather than the normal pattern. When you get a Super Conda, ironically, it just strips all of that, and we'd have a very orangey, whitish snake. But then this pattern right here on the head would still stay. It's just really unique and cool. I typically don't like Super Conda and everything, but when I do like it, I love it. Moving right along to a pair. I love seeing pairs on here, and this is a Het Sable Pair. So that means that these are both Het Sable, and Het Sable, when you get the visual version of it, is a much darker snake. I've seen some combos with them that are darn near black. And when you combine it with albino, that would of course require you to get some hets out of that. And so it'd be a little bit of a longer project, but you can create what's called the Sunburst, which is probably one of the more high-end sought-after Hognoses. Just a lot of cool opportunity here though, just because you get the pair right off the bat, so that once you get them up to size, you can immediately start pairing them. Another pair here is showing you off what a snow actually does look like. I love the little name with the emojis, but Make It Snow pair, purple line snow, Super Conda, and a female albino Het Axanthic. So this male is what you'd call a Super Conda Yeti, basically being a Super Conda Axanthic albino, also being purple line. So he's got a lot of power to him. You could use him in multiple things, but the female would definitely help out in this project, being an albino Het Axanthic. So she has everything she needs to help recreate him. Lots of cool power here if that's the direction you want to go, making snows, and that's a good direction to go. And then finally we'll end it up here with another snow here, and there's some variety in snow. There's no reserve on this one, but those are our Hognoses for the week. Hopefully we get a little bit more next week. Had to show this one off just because of the crazy pattern. We were just talking about monsoons not long ago, but this is not a monsoon, but it kind of just ever so slightly resembles one, just maybe dialed down a bit. This would be a lesser mahogany Het Red Axanthic, and it's a proven breeder. Now you might think Het Red Axanthic, it's just a Het, right? So I can't wait to hit the Red Axanthic. Well, it's not. I believe it at one point it was thought to be a recessive, but it was proven to be a incomplete dominant, I believe. This one is located in Canada from Coreywood Reptiles, but they do ship into the US. It takes a little while for it to finally ship out, but the thing is if the snake ends up being cheap, that kind of offsets the cost, right? It looks like this animal has laid pretty good amounts of eggs, especially lately. Maybe even a slow starter, but now it's producing 6 to 7 eggs every single year, and it looks like it had a couple years off here. And that is ideal. You could get something here that can immediately start making some cool examples for you. Not for everybody again, but some stuff that not everybody works, and a striking example at that. If this price stays even close to this hemisphere, even with the shipping, could be very ideal for you. All right, moving into this one here. This is a Pastel Fire White Lace Sunset from Pied is Life. This one here is pretty nice and bright for a sunset. Obviously, I do not know how these other genes would work with that, so I do not know how they're affecting it, but sunset is a really visually striking gene. With the only thing that I have ever heard people say as a downside is that they age a bit and they can kind of brown out. But the point of the matter here is that fire, that lace especially, can combat that and keep that at bay. And I've seen combos with these where they look great as they're starting to age, and that is kind of the game there. Now that price is up there, so again, not for everybody, but I wanted to show it off because you don't always see combos like this. And then speaking of sunset, if you wanted to go the cheaper route and kind of make them yourself, this would be a good way to do that. Granted, it being in a male is not ideal, but you do have a lesser het sunset het hypo. I like this one because it also has the head hypo along for the ride, and hypo is another one that would help keep that sunset brown out at check. This looks like they actually sent it in. They sent in the shed test for RGI to prove it out, and so that's pretty cool. It was a lesser sunset to a pastel leopard het hypo. So it always will pass that copy of sunset along, and then the head hypo came 50% of the time, but they tested it, it's 100%. Very neat, very cool. A good opportunity to maybe breed them yourself. Not for everybody, but the price will stay kind of low, I would imagine. So it could potentially be something if you do love the Sunset Project and you don't have a lot of money to spend on this, quite frankly, expensive gene. Take the chance, go head to head. Get yourself a het sunset female, and while you're at it, since this one's a het hypo, make it a het sunset het hypo. Your odds are not great, but they are decent to at least hit the sunset. And maybe you send in the test if you don't get the visual, the double visual right off the bat, and you get a het at the very least. And suddenly now you have created your own animal that you can use as the star champion to create something, and you did it for a much cheaper price. It will take you longer though. Do not kid yourself, because the female that you buy will take a minimum of 3 years. This dude, probably 1.5 to 2 years to get to size, and that's if all goes well. But I mean, if you got time and you don't got the money, it's gonna be a great way to do it. This is easily probably my favorite that I'm gonna show off today. In about a day and a half, this bad boy will go to one very lucky person. This is incredible. A Redstripe Yellowbelly Fire Leopard Clown. I absolutely love stuff like this, and the contrast it brings. Just a very bright, clean orange on top of this mountain range along the back. It looks like something from Dune. Like it's a mountain range going through the desert. I can't get over how much love I have for this animal. This is absolutely insane. Whoever gets this is going to be very lucky, and this price is going to go up. I'll keep an eye on this one, absolutely, but I think this one will go quite considerably higher. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be in on it. If you've got the money, this is one to do it to. This is a champion that makes people say, oh my god, I want to create animals like it, and then you already have it. So now what can you create? Crazy things, that's what you can create. There's so much stuff you can put this to, so many different directions that you can go, and that's what's cool because it's the male. So you can buy a female that'll go one direction, a female that'll go another direction, and a female that'll go a completely different direction. So much opportunity here. I mean, heck, you throw this into some other hets to get it into, you know, a double het project. You know, you create double hets and kind of go from there to try to recreate this, but with something else, maybe like Pied in the mix, or Desert Ghost. Oh my god, that'd be a really good one. Desert Ghost would be a really good one with this. You also go a completely different route, so you already combine it with more clowns. Maybe you get something in here for brightening it up even more, like lace, and then maybe you go another direction and you also get in here with Blackhead. You also try to combine this into some stuff with like the Pompeii. You just try to put this also into Pompeii. You got two of the genes right here, you just need Spotnose. Heck, that would look good right there. Actually, you'd have the Batman as well by going that route. So even if you miss this one, you're gonna hit something amazing. You're also missing the black pastel for that Pompeii type project, but there's a lot of different directions you could go, a lot of different females that you could pick up to run this project, and it would be outstanding. It's worth whatever it goes for, period. Moving along to this acid leopard cinnamon Spotnose Het clown. Again, I would really love to see this in a clown, and I have seen acids with clowns, and they're great. Kind of similar in craziness to the confusions and such like that. Just a lot of really awesome coolness. It looks like this could have been lavender too, or het lavender, I should say. Love the pattern. This is acid, confusion, all those types of kind of genes just do this nutty, awesome, beautiful pattern. Just look at that, and they're pretty dark where it's dark, and it's got this like an orange tint where it's not, and they call it a little yeah, there's a little paradox in the head, a little goofy eyebrow right there. That's pretty cool. So I feel like he might end a little bit lower. And he's a striking, beautiful example. And people will pass on him just because he's het clown. But I often say that sometimes you can break the rules of wanting to go get your males that are all visuals just to get a gene to work in there, like acid. That would be super cool to get this in there. And you quite frankly hit the clown version of this by getting a female that's visual just for this project. And then you move on from him the moment you hit what you want. You give that opportunity to do exactly what you did to someone else. That way you're not clogging up space with a non-visual for too long. Honestly, it's a very valid way to go about it. I've done it myself. I'm doing it right now, in fact. Moving along to another one that's got a really favorable price but can do some crazy cool things would be this pastel clown, 100% het hypo, 100% het pied. So there's a lot of power to be had here. You look at this and you just see a pastel clown, and people don't like pastel clowns in my experience because they say they brown out. And it looks like that now, and it's already kind of doing that, but I'm again looking at the potential beyond this. Ignore what you see here in this female and pay attention to these double hets right here, and then look at this picture. That is a hypo clown pied, and that is what you could create with that. This particular picture says het desert ghost, but that's not what you see here. You do not see the het. We're looking at the picture here just for that example. So what you see right here is beautiful, and you are just a het, hypo, and het pied away. So get yourself a male. That's pretty powerful. A hypo pied, that's het for clown. That way you're always going against each other with the odds, and you have a much better chance of hitting it. And then again, anytime you don't hit it, you're gonna be having all of those hets accounted for. You don't need to guess or test for them. Another way you could do is, of course, just getting another pied het. If you can't afford those ones, you could also take another het and take the chance on one of those genes, but definitely make your male at least visual on one of those, and bring some other genes along for the ride too. There's lots of great examples, but anything that can brighten it up even more. But I would honestly say blackhead would be a good way to go, because you create that contrast. It's already going to get that from the hypo and whatnot, that lightning. Very cool opportunity here, in my opinion, for someone who wants to work with something that can create this. Another one from Chimera here, and don't worry, I got receipts to back this one up too, would be a clown 100% het lavender. Another great opportunity to create the grail, and that's the clown lavender. And this is a grail right here. You get yourself a lavender het clown. Again, it'd be a cheaper way to go about it, and you'd always be hitting hets if you don't hit it, and then you have a 1 in 4 chance of hitting that. That's pretty cool. Just saying, every single time I see stuff from Chimera, there's opportunities to be had when I see them, because they're great quality animals, and I swear to God, people, I don't know, maybe they're coming along in the last minute and buying it, bidding it up real crazy, but it is something fierce. I think people, they're not seeing ahead in the future on building things for maybe a little bit cheaper. You know, we're all in this boat together. I certainly didn't start by buying crazy combos right off the bat. I worked my way to getting to those things, and I did it through thoughts and processes like this. This is a cool opportunity to create this. Redhead's back. I won't stop showing this gene off. This one here is a redhead Spotnose, het clown, het pied. Male again, not ideal having it in there, but what did I say earlier? Hit your visuals and move on. If you happen to get the het clown, het pied, redhead, and then Spotnose is a great one to bring along for that ride too. That is very, very cool. And this guy looks like he's about ready to breed. So he would be one that you don't even have to really raise up. He's pretty much got most of his size to him. So if you've got yourself a clown pied like what we showed you earlier, a visual clown pied female, this would be a great way to get some extra spice into that. Get that redhead Spotnose double clown pied. Their prices aren't that nutty either. They're still up there, but to what you would create would be outstanding. First of our final four here would be this proven breeder pastel paint. and this is all about the paint. Paint is a very cool gene. I talk about it a little more often, it seems now. It has not worked as well as it should be. As you can see, there's interest in this gene, and I hope that that is an indication of where this project is going. Take a look at a lot of what Southwest Wisconsin Reptiles is creating with paint. Jim and Jonah know what they're talking about, and they work this paint project quite a bit, and it is very cool. It is a chaos gene, is what I like to call it. It really creates this like smeared paint look to it, and there's a lot that has not been explored or done with this project. Being in a male, you can start breeding this recessive into your projects right away. So take a look at some of what's been done with paint already, and if it makes you a believer, you've got about a day and a half after this video comes out to take a chance on getting one that can immediately start making you hets for your projects. Had to show this one off. I don't work Desert Ghost, but when I see things like this, it makes me wish I had. This is a Hypo Pastel Chocolate Desert Ghost. So it's actually a double recessive. They sandwich the incomplete dominance in the middle. But Desert Ghost and Hypo, they are similar to each other, but they work well together, and they create a snake that's so creamy and beautiful. That snake is gonna look like that his whole, well, it is full grown. See, there you go. That is a basically proven breeder male at 603. It's not gonna get much bigger, maybe it will, but that is basically what it's gonna look like. And it is stunning, and it's powerful. You're always passing a copy of Desert Ghost. You're always passing a copy of Hypo. Chocolate is the extra little bit on top, the cherry on top. I didn't want to say cherry at first because it's chocolate. It's the chocolate on top. It's the chocolate fudge on the ice cream. That was corny, I'm sorry. The point of the matter here is that you've got a very powerful male that can work this project to a T for you. This is really, really nice. I love the chocolate gene. Another one that I plan to add at some point into this collection once I can refine what I've got and start bringing things on a little differently. That is a cool animal. If you work Desert Ghost, even just if you work any of these projects, this is a very cool animal that you could get. Bidding is very reasonable right now. Still got some time though, and there's some interest. So I suspect this one will go quite a bit more, especially being from Fireball Reptiles. I don't know if I've ever seen a Barnhart Black Pastel myself personally on the auctions, but now I have Barnhart Black Pewter Spotnose Leopard, which also has some Paradox. Oh, I see it. Paradox 100% Het Clown male. He just got put up not very long before we started filming this video. And Barnhart Black Pastel, it's allelic and compatible with Black Pastel, but it's actually its own gene. Through testing, this was proven, and we probably never would have known it. And quite frankly, in our last video, I said that Black Pastel and Barnhart Black Pastel were the same gene, and that Barnhart was a polygenic line, but they're actually their own genes. And at the same time, they're allelic with each other, so that's a reason why people might never have known, because they would have assumed that maybe they hit the super, but they did not. So unfortunately, if you're thinking maybe that makes the possible kinking from creating a super Black Pastel go away, it doesn't, sadly. So just keep that in mind if that's what you were thinking. But it is an incredible example. Let's just talk about it. I mean, you can see that Barnhart Black Pastel just does a little something different than regular Black Pastel. It creates more granulation, I think. This has a lot of power to it. The only thing it's missing is, well, hitting the clown. I would also rather have it not have pastel myself, because I want these nicer darks coming in, quite frankly. The Paradox is just kind of cool, but it doesn't pass on. So again, another one where, I mean, he has enough power to him, maybe you do keep him a little bit longer, but if you could hit the visual clown with any of this, you know, getting that Barnhart Black Pastel in there, that would be cool. Let's just, I mean, follow it. Right now there's no bids. Definitely an opportunity here for somebody if they want to get into something that's a little different, that's got a little bit more spice to it with the Barnhart Black Pastel. Very cool gene. And finishing it off today would be from Clutch, this Pastel Yellowbelly GeneX Pied. I haven't had an opportunity to talk about GeneX enough, but it's another great enhancing gene. If I show you a Pastel Yellowbelly Pied, it does not look like this. No, these are crisp, beautiful colors. Not that they aren't beautiful with just the Pastel Yellowbelly. I actually love Pastel Pied. Yellowbelly Pieds, also affectionately known as the Pumpkin Pied, are also very good, but the GeneX is really bringing this all together, and this is starting, the colors here, if I'm looking at just this stuff, approach some of the crazy stuff. You know, it's almost like half a dose of Desert Ghost or something like that. Very, very cool. Looks like it's almost ready. 500 grams, could use a little bit more size to him, but he's producing plugs. What that means is that he's basically ready. That doesn't mean he's 100% ready, by the way, but the boy parts are beginning to work. He could use a bit more size, but I think he's ready by this coming season if he can start eating for you. And Clutch is another great breeder, so this would be another great way to set yourself apart. Looks like, you know, this one went up not too long ago. Who knows what the interest will be? It's still pretty early, but take a look. I've seen GeneX's go for cheaper. Hope you enjoyed this week's video. Again, as always, if you got something in the past or from this video, please let us know in the comments. I love hearing it. Again, to everyone that joined us for our live stream, I very much appreciated it. If you like this video, you can actually check out a lot of the genes we talked about today in our top genes of all time right here.